Hello, everybody. Jimmy and Joe back at you. We're excited to be here. Joe and I started this off. Holy cow! It's been a while that we started doing this.
Over a couple of months.
A couple of months ago, and I really like when we can put the team back together. And what I also really like, guys, is this helps me be a better recruiter for you. Right? I've been learning more stuff as I hope you, the driver, our current drivers, but also the drivers that are going to be joining us. I hope you guys learn a lot from this because I certainly am. What we're going to be talking tonight about is contractor services, right, and also settlements. Why is that important? Why isn't it important? What does contractor services do for you, the IC driver? What do settlements do for you as a company driver? There's so many things behind the scenes, right, that we do for you, the driver, that we want to make sure you're going from point A to point B without any distractions.
And by the way, did you introduce yourself?
I'm Jimmy Williams, by the way. Sorry about that. And this is Mr. Joe Goering. I thought everybody would know us because of Jimmy and Joe, but I do have one thing to say. Oh. Officer Dietrich, if you are by chance watching, I told you I was going to be on Facebook Live tonight, and thank you very much.
Good job on that one. So, yeah, somebody kind of broke the law coming in. Hey, Kyle, welcome aboard. So I do want to call out. For all of our active drivers, these evening ones always tend to go good. I want to introduce Sam real quick. Sam is our young technical gal, and every time that something crazy happens. So if you guys have ever seen Forrest Gump, and they're out there on the Bubba Gump ship, and Captain Dan is sitting on the top of the little, what do you call it? Bottom line is we got that going on outside right now. So we got a massive storm going. So if we got any technical issues, Sam's going to bail us out.
Yes.
But just really quick, Kyle, like I said, I always appreciate you guys having our active drivers, whether you're contractors, company drivers. There's nothing more valuable than we call this ATS Live, Ask Us Anything. Our entire goal of what we're doing here, it's to answer your questions, and we want to do it where it's on record. You can share it with whoever you want to. Frankly, I don't care if our competitors are watching to try to figure out what we do and how we do it. Frankly, we actually found out that is happening more than we thought. But the bottom line is, if they got an organization like ATS behind the scenes, tonight when we're talking about contractor services, it's about the machine. It's about the entire machine behind the organization. So you've got your fleet managers, you've got the departments and safety you work with. But listen, we got over 500 employees backing every one of our drivers behind the scene. And so we just want to spend a little bit of time tonight specifically talking about what our contractor service department does for our independent contractors. June, thanks for joining us. I have not seen you in a while, so good seeing you online with us tonight. So Jimmy, we're going to spend some time on contractor services with their role with our independent contractors, and then we're going to spend some time on what their role is with our company drivers. But then we've also got a settlements department. And so both of the programs are a little bit different. But folks, when you're out there doing the job, our ultimate job is to make sure that we're giving you the support where you can go out and go do the job. Go pick up your load, go deliver your load, and not get bogged down with the administrative side. And so we want to talk a little bit about what we actually do behind the scenes to make you successful.
And that's exactly right. And as I started this off, guys, what I really like is it's helping me, right? And that's going to, in turn, let me help you guys. Simple thing, a little thing is fuel card limits, right? Transponder activation. These are things I'm learning about. But these are the things, again, as Joe stated, we want to make you, as an independent contractor, your business be successful. Hence why we've created an entire team, right? That is behind let's say behind the curtain, pulling the strings, permits, things like that. But settlements that's the most important thing is you as a driver, right? To make sure that that's done accurately, to make sure that, deductions for your insurance, for driver issuing, IDs, troubleshooting, things like that. We want to make sure that you completely understand is set up for you, right? As a contractor servicer behind the scenes so that, like Joe said, I tell a lot of the story of from Moline, Illinois, John Deere country down to Dallas, Texas, when I'm telling a driver, when you're going from Moline to Jackson or down to Dallas, that's what your focus is, right? You've got the team built behind you, pulling the strings that make sure that we got your back to make sure that everything is set for you guys. And I think it's important to know that. Where I will now take the things of the little details but they're bigger details to you, the driver, right? I did not know a lot of the little details, so to speak, but it's really important for you, the driver, to know this. And what's fun for me as a driver, advisor, recruiter, we've got your back. And the settlements and the CES team certainly do have that, Joe.
Yep. And to make it real clear, whether you're a company driver or an independent contractor, you being able to be successful. So as a contractor, we want to know that you're running a successful business. As a company driver, we want to know that you're running successfully as far as getting the earnings that you deserve and making sure that all the little detailed stuff is being taken care of. So I actually had to bring a printout because when I got a bullet list of everything that Contractor Services does, I'm too old. I can't remember it all, but to give you guys a little bit of an idea here. So some of the bullet points we've got, and before I get into this, I can't say that Jimmy and I are the absolute experts at every granular thing that our Contractor Services Department does. So we've got Samantha Dwyer. She's our manager, director. All I can tell you, she's the top dog for everything that we do contractor services related. She's probably one of the best staff members that I've worked with. She's got a true concern for the well-being of our drivers, whether it's personal matters, whether it's professional matters. And frankly, her job is to try to keep our contractors out of trouble. So Samantha is joining me tomorrow at 11 a.m. So as everybody knows, we do this once a month at 7 p.m. I can tell you that we're going to start doing some polling because we're really trying to find that day and the time that works best for either prospect drivers that are trying to check Anderson Trucking out, for our active drivers for being able to participate. And the 11 o'clock Thursdays doesn't seem to be quite as good as what we do when we're doing these in the evening. So when we say this is called Ask Us Anything, I'm begging you folks, if you guys are not coming in with questions, it kind of pulls us away from the entire purpose of what we're trying to do here. There's not a question that we're going to avoid or detract from. But if I can't answer it or Jimmy can't answer it today, just rejoin us again tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and Samantha Dwyer will be here, and there's nobody better at explaining the detail of what they're doing with whatever questions you may have. Okay?
Exactly right. And even to what, to Joe's point, we talk a lot, said a lot about independent contractors, but there's also the settlements for the company drivers as well. I know I've got some company drivers, I think, that were going to be joining me tonight. Also, a couple lease drivers that I got coming in for next week that I asked them if they had some time they could join us as well. Again, guys, Joe said it. If you guys don't tell us, put the elephant on the table because we'll answer it, right? We're not afraid. We're a transparent company. And I think what it also shows you, right, is the transparency that we show not only from recruiting, but from settlements to CES, from Joe Goering on down, right? We're an open book, right? And if we don't know the answer to what we're not gonna make it up. We're gonna find the direct answer. Hence, if you put a question up and we don't know it, it might not get answered tonight, could be answered tomorrow by Samantha, but we for sure will answer 100% of your questions.
And by the way, so Kyle and June, Paul, I appreciate your question, but I think that if you guys come out to say hi, you've got to hit us with one question. I don't care what it is, but help us be engaged in all of this. So, Paul, very good question. So I'm going to talk a little bit about on our company driver side and for our contractors. The one thing that we hear the biggest complaint about from drivers that have been with another carrier and they're contemplating coming to ATS is that they just don't understand what their rates are. They don't understand the settlement. They don't understand what they're getting paid, how they're getting paid. For our company drivers, we've got an upside pay program where it's either CPM or it's going to be percentage at the 28%. And I think everybody's aware that all of our company drivers, whether you're a flatbed driver or a van driver, they're averaging 75 cents or greater at the end of each week. And so that's been phenomenal. But every time a company driver is put on a dispatch, it shows them this is the rate that we're being paid and what you get paid on CPM. And this is the rate we're getting paid and what that equals to be at 28%. And whichever of those two is going to get the most money to the driver's pocket is automatically what it says. So it's completely transparent at the time of dispatch. For our contractors, the same thing. It's what's the gross transportation revenue. If you're at 65%, 66%, 67%, whatever your percentage is, it's going to then tell you what of that is going to you. And then you're adding the fuel surcharge that 100% of what we're collecting is also being added on top of that. So there's a great amount of transparency. So great question from you, Paul. June, you said, how long does it take to switch out Qualcomm to tablet? I've still got the old system. So another very good question. So we started sampling this. Jimmy, do you know about this, or do you want me to take this one?
You take that one, please, sir.
Oh, okay. So just almost like when we started doing our forward-facing only cameras and so forth, we've got to phase these in. So we had an initial group of drivers that went from the Qualcomm to the tablets. Obviously, the goal is to get everybody 100%. The best thing I can ask you to do is probably talk to your fleet manager, June. If you'd like to fast track it, I think they're doing their best to get it to the drivers that are requesting it first, and then kind of making sure that we make that transition with the drivers that maybe just don't really care one way or the other. But what I will do, June, is I will follow up with our group with that is managing that and find out what the full rollout is. And clearly I know who you are, and I'll just send you a private message or give you a phone call sometime tomorrow if that's okay with you. Cool?
Absolutely,
Cool.
absolutely. And John, thank you, John. I know John Hayes answered that question as well, but that's what I like too. Is we've got some of our recruiter, driver advisors, recruiters that are helping answering that question. Joe, I want to go back to what you were talking about, company drivers, because I get this question a lot. And what I want, if you're a company driver, we're going to talk about a couple other things too. But transparency. When you pick up your load, we'll use the Moline, Illinois, John Deere Country. Your fleet manager is going to send that over. You're going to see everything what Joe just talked about, right? CPM for the miles and the 28% of the line haul. There is nothing hidden, guys. I think that is some of the things that get missed, or I try to talk about, a couple, 3 or 4 or 5 times when I'm talking to you, the driver. That's not an ATS driver, but you will know, even to the point of, the load estimates, right? They're doing that. I was looking at that, something I learned today, right? And that is, again, for you, the driver, to know exactly what's going to be happening, when it's going to be happening, and to see exactly what you're going to be paid. I think that is huge.
It is, and I'm going to call out a couple of our drivers that I see that are with us today, but you guys making comments on this, and John, thanks for some of the feedback that you wrote on our behalf as well. I appreciate you joining us tonight too. But June and Paul, you guys have all been either on the contractor side or the company side, throwing a comment out there about what your experience has been. Because again, the audience today is not only our active drivers, but also the reason we do this to a public group is any drivers that are interested in ATS and understanding a little bit more how our programs work. There's nothing better than to have our drivers that are active like you guys to say, yeah, what they're saying is 100% true. So yeah, I'd love if you guys threw a comment out there on has the transparency been there for you? And there's always going to be that complicated load where things change, but I think we always make sure we end it right to where the driver is always being compensated for the time that they've got into that load. A couple of weeks back, I was talking that we actually do all of our planning and our rates based on how many days that a driver is under a load. It's not really the distance that it's going, it's what's the cost for that driver to be tied up under a load under that trailer before they can go to the next load. And so our way of thinking is a little bit different than a lot of our competition.
I think it's our way of thinking, but it's also, we don't do everything great, right? We'll be the first ones to admit that, right? But there's a lot of things we do that I think are a step or 2 or 3 above what the competition is doing out there. And this is just one of them, guys. I talk to a lot of drivers, and the first thing they tell me is, I can't, my settlements are off, it's this and that. Well, this is the team behind us. That's what we wanted to talk about today. I mean, not simple things, but, contract renewals. If you've got, account management, if you've got different, changes to your direct deposit form, the team behind you is going to be the ones to help you do that.
And another example, most of the independent contractors that start with Anderson Trucking, they typically come on board as a sole proprietor. Then they finally make that move to become an LLC. There's a lot of steps that are involved with that. And we want that progression to happen because each time you guys progress that much further, frankly speaking, the relationship between our drivers and the ATS corporate side just continues to bond further and further. And the longevity with our drivers, you talk to a driver who's been with us for 10 years, and June, you've been with us since 2014. The reality is that the more time that we get to really learn how to work with each other, it just gets easier and easier as time goes by. And I think all of you guys heard us last week or the week before, we talk about it a lot, is we pay attention to the three-legged stool. Pay, make sure that when a home time request is being made that we get you through the house and treating with respect. And so June, you're saying that you're coming through the office, sometime next week. You know that when you walk in, you sign in with safety, you get a badge and you get to walk the halls. You can walk to contractor services. You can walk over to the safety department. You can go walk to Raleigh Anderson's office directly if you'd like to.
Scott Anderson too.
Yeah. But that's all part of the respect of, we got an open door policy, and there's not a door that's exempt from that. So you got a call out from Fred.
Yeah, well, so Fred, I would love for you to make the comment. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share with these folks what you shared with me today. Fred, I hired Fred. Helped me, Fred, 6 months ago. It's more January, February. She's on her Midwest Regional. So for 5 months, he's made over $60,000 as a Midwest lease driver. Fred, and you heard me when we were talking today. And guys, if you were hired by me, I'm a different recruiter, right? I talk to you a lot. Fred and we talk an awful lot, and that's how I like to do things. But if there's a driver on, message Fred. So January 19th there, thank you, buddy. But the number that he told me that he's grown so far this year was off the charts. I couldn't believe it. And Fred, I couldn't be more happier for you, sir. Fred is a long line of other drivers we've got. They're killing it, guys. They're just absolutely killing it. When you can hear it from me, you can hear it from Mr. Goering. But when you can hear it from a driver, that's doing it. I'd ask anybody, reach out to Fred, and he'll kind of fill you in. But Fred, I'm glad you were able to make it on. Again, it was great talking to you. We haven't talked for a couple weeks, but you keep doing what you're doing, my friend.
And June, by the way, I keep calling you up, but love it. So you've been with us a long time. So I think that you're going to be one of the first to say that the rates that we're getting today, that 150 mile is probably gone way north of that. But you say that you've been doing a $150 mile forever since you've been here. Thank you very much for that. And I'm guessing right now that with the rates that we've been able to do on the spot market side, over 70% of our freight right now is on a spot market basis. And there's not a driver I met this week walking in the hallways that did not make a specific comment to me about just being happy. Listen, money is a big part of it. It's not everything, but they are just in a groove right now. They got multiple freight options. They're able to travel the areas that they want to travel. And so the freight offerings are definitely not an issue for us right now. But June, definitely come up and say hi. I told you it's been a while since I've seen you. So.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, it's I was wrong, Fred. Not over 60. $82,000 he's made in gross money since January 19th.
Yep.
Holy Hannah.
Yep.
That is, and Fred, 2 thumbs up to you too, my friend. I didn't tell you you'd make that much, but I told you when you joined my Midwest Regional that you were going to absolutely because you're just that driver. And Fred, again, thank you very much for coming on. That makes me smile, Joe. When my and a lot of drivers too, right? It's if you're engaging with us and if you have open communication, you can do this. You can do that if you're willing to show up and work. You can do those type of numbers. Know we've got the team, our team, settlement team, CES, the team behind you to help get you to the numbers like that up there on the screen. That is just ultra amazing to me.
And a quick call out, like I said, I can't tell you how much I respect our active drivers that join on this too. And I really just want to make sure, if you're watching this right now, it doesn't matter if you're watching us live, it doesn't matter if you watch this later on in a recorded session, send a note out. If you're looking at ATS, you can see that we've got live drivers on with us that engage with us a great deal. When we say ask us anything, folks, if you're not asking questions, listen, we can talk about what we want to talk about. We love talking about making you guys money, but there's a lot more to all of this than that. So I'm begging anybody who's contemplating looking at ATS, this is the platform to do it on, because we monitor every question, whether it's live or not live. So if you send it at 1 o'clock in the morning tonight, we're going to see that comment. We will reach out and we will respond to 100% of any questions that are out there that we weren't able to cover live tonight. So
exactly.
But
one thing I'm going to ask you to go to kind of go through this again, guys. I'm learning a lot of stuff that's happening. One of the first things I asked you was settlements. Drivers can get paid every 48 hours if they want.
Correct. We call it rapid settle. So for our company drivers, for anybody who has questions, you guys are aware of frankly speaking, this upside pay program, and we've got to have that rolled out on a full week basis. So when you're getting paid both CPM and percentage, we have to stick with the weekly settlements on the company side. It's not a negative. It takes a lot of man hours to manually go through that, and that's why most companies won't do it. Number one, it's more expensive. We're getting more money into the driver's pocket instead of it staying in the company's pocket. But number two, it's a lot more manual to where one load is CPM, one load is percentage. But on the contractor side, you can stick with weekly if you want to. If you want to get paid quicker than that, we have what's called a 48-hour rapid settle. It's, frankly, we just want to know that the option is out there. But for our contractors, you send in your settlement paperwork, and 2 days later, you're going to have the money in the bank.
That to me is amazing.
And honestly, that's actually been going on for a couple of years, Jimmy. So,
but see, and I had heard about that, but then again, for me to sit and just look at what CES sent us, right? It just reinforces that, gives me another thing to give the driver when the driver's coming in. So again, I said it before, I'll say it again. This just helps me help you when I'm talking to prospective drivers coming in, and that being said, but no, it's for company drivers or for lease purchase drivers, guys, this is exciting for me. I mean, I've been at Anderson Trucking for a while now, not as long as this man, but it is an exciting time to be at Anderson Trucking Service. With the amount of freight we've got running, with the amount of customers we've got, but it's the line haul miles that we're getting, it's off the charts. And to see $82,000 in 5 months, holy cow. I just, again, pass the word if you're a driver. Please help us as driver advisors and recruiters. Pass the word to somebody at a truck stop. Pass the word to somebody, share this Facebook post, right? Let's try to, see if we can't get the word out to other drivers, because, ultimately, I'll say this too. I talked with a driver of mine today, Joe, and he said, if I keep sending the drivers, I'm gonna, I said, the Andersons have made sure we've got enough freight, right, for many more drivers to come along. So don't be afraid that the freight's going to route, because it's not. Am I right? We've got this teed up until 2022. I'm
going to kind of give a little speech that I do. So as you guys can see, the majority of our active drivers, I know you guys personally, and I've just loved, probably the biggest reward of my job is to have that relationship with our active drivers, and knowing that the open door policy has worked, and that you guys have gotten to know me and I've gotten to know you. But AIP is what we call our annual in-person, and every year our ownership gets face-to-face with every one of our drivers to just have an open forum table for discussion. And when I come to talk about it, one of the questions I get is, same thing that you just brought up, Jimmy, is about the referred drivers.
Yeah.
Be very clear that every October, there's a truck count that we need to be at, and we don't go over that truck count. We're not a publicly traded company. We're a family business. And we actually hold a truck count based on what our customer requires us to be at to be their house carrier. So if they say we've got 10, we want to grow by 10 trucks. Listen, we had multiple times that we had drivers waiting 6 to 8 weeks to join orientation, because we're not going to buy trucks and seat them just to throw more trucks into the system. We know what the right mix is, and if we're full, we're full. And if we get 10 empty trucks, then our job is to fill those 10 empty trucks. But we have never, within my entire year, so I've been here now almost 31 years and been responsible for driver recruiting for the last 9. And I can say that if there's been a 5% change in truck count, that's probably exaggerating a little bit. So the reality is we know what our count numbers are going to be. And frankly, folks, Kyle and June and Paul, you guys that are on here, I think you guys would attest to that being the case.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So,
and again, it's to that point. I just wanted to make, because I've heard it now a couple times from a different driver, or a couple different drivers about, do we really have the freight? Well, it's not going to last forever. But hey, when the pay is good, and I think that's something else that I want a lot of people to understand. The Andersons could just be putting it against the bottom line. We don't do that, right? They don't do that. They have the core values that we all share. We're passing that on to you, the driver, whether you're a contractor, whether you're a company driver. These great freight numbers that we're seeing are passed to you, the driver. And I don't know another company out there. And I don't talk bad, and other drivers will, when I talk to her, I don't talk about other companies, Joe. I will not do that. I know what they're doing. I know what they're paying. I know what's going on out there. Drivers tell me what's going on out there. But with what you're going to see at ATS, as Joe said, open door policy, walking in the door, from CES to settlements to it's all about you, the driver. We just want you to be out there doing your job. Point A to point B to C to D, and to get to the place in a great ride, because I'm looking at some of the new trucks we got sitting out there. Holy cow, right? I love the fact of coming over to East to our new digs. It's my first time coming in here, but what I like coming over here is all the trucks we got sitting out there, right? I mean, we've got some of the best fleet. We're very, very, very proud of the fleet we got running down the road, right? Freightliners, Cascadias, Coronados, Pete's, Volvos, right? We give you the driver, right? 3 makes and models to choose from, right? And then that being said, it's all good from there. So, hello, Khalil Robinson. Thank you very much. You do have a question.
And by the way, I want to jump up to Kyle's real quick, because Mr. Robinson, your question is fantastic, and I'll let Jimmy answer that.
Yep.
But Kyle, we get nervous when our active drivers are showing prospect drivers their actual settlement. So if you notice, we don't tell drivers this is the average.
Nope.
We say this is our range.
Yep.
And you've been hearing this for quite a while, but we got drivers killing it, just like what you're doing. And I don't know of any other company where a company driver can say that they're clearing over $2,000 on a weekly basis. And so we know it's happening. We see the numbers. And sometimes those that are interested in ATS, you got to see it to believe it. But what happens is we tend to be conservative on the recruiting side, because we know what the opportunities are. But we'd rather start you out down here where we know we're going to at least make what you need to make to where you're happy. And then when you get here, that's when you can get the flavor of the reality of the earnings. So Kyle, appreciate you putting that out there, because we are seeing a lot of that. Now, for Mr. Robinson, do you want me to answer it, or do you want to?
You want to take? You've been talking to Brent more about that than I am.
Sure. So I'm not sure if you're asking about, so outside of TAP, our TAP program, and anybody who's not an Anderson driver doesn't understand what it is, but after you've been an active driver for a full year with Anderson Trucking, we've got a couple of leasing incentive programs that we don't offer to brand new drivers. It's kind of a longevity program that we offer. So TAP stands for Top Anderson Performer, and we own our local Freightliner dealers. And so if you want to come in and finance through TAP and get into a Freightliner truck, we guarantee you that you're not going to get financing better than that. But we do also have multiple other leasing options. So if you want to stay with an ATS program, obviously CES has got a long-term program if you got down payment money. But if you want to go out and buy your own truck and then contract that truck under our ICC, you can certainly do that, Mr. Robinson. But maybe you want to give me a call, or
your recruiter.
Or your recruiter. But I'm the first guy people say I'm crazy for doing this, but I don't mind getting the phone calls. I don't mind getting the emails. But my email is just joe@atsinc.com. And I really want to make sure that I'm understanding the full scope of what you're looking to try to do. The one piece of advice I'd give anybody that's not going to lease from an ATS entity, meaning our TAP program or through our CES program, is just make sure you're letting us get you the spec sheet, because we got folks that come pulling in here and the fifth wheels are wrong, or the wheelbase is out. It doesn't have the headache racks properly that we need, the strobe lights if you're a flatbed driver, the ramp. So we just want to make sure if you're buying outside of ATS that you'll at least let us know, so you're speccing that truck right, so you don't show up and all of a sudden have a bunch of surprises with all these added expenses, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It did. Well, and Joe knows a lot about what we got going on in every program we got, but I had a driver that's coming in that we're talking about the extended lease, putting into like a TAP program, where if you're a driver, right, if you're a lease driver watching this and you want to have certain things on your truck, give Jimmy a call, give John a call, give Robbie a call, give Paul a call, give us a call, because we got programs out that we call extended lease, right? That we can kind of tailor a truck to your specific needs, right? Again, I'm learning more about this process too. But there again, that shows you the nimbleness and the flexibility of ATS. We own the finance company. We're able to do things a little bit differently. And Khalil, we'd love to help you out as well. But if there's a question, or if there's something you're looking to do, please make sure to pick up the phone, and if you don't call him, he will call you back, by the way. Call Jimmy, call Joe, or call John, call Robbie, call call into the recruiting line, and we'd be happy to discuss not only the entire lease process where you got no money down, no skin in the game, or an extended lease process, and then we'll fill you in to what our topic was tonight, just about and we go from there. So hey, thank you, Khalil. I'm glad you responded to that, and give Joe or Jimmy a call, and we'll kind of help you guide you through the process.
Hey, so the question on the mid-roof Volvo. So listen, you guys, I chuckle at this because I know what our competition does, and so most of our competition have a make. So we either do Peterbilt,
Yep.
we do internationals, we do whatever it might be. Anderson Trucking has got Freightliner, Peterbilt, Volvos. We try to have a couple of different models of each of those, but just for the maintenance department alone and the parts department, there's only so many of making sure that we got something for everybody. If you wanted to order something, so on the company side, we don't have that many. A lot of the ones we have, it says, why can't we get some mid-roof Volvos? The majority of the Volvos that we brought on board, a good chunk of those are actually on our van division, and they're going to be for the teams or husband and wife teams. They want that bunk system, and somebody who's getting into a Volvo is typically looking for that extra space. But we all know either you love Ford or you love Chevy or you love Ram. All the others don't matter. Those are the only three I think about. But at the end of the day, there are some options, but about the only way to make sure you get something like that is if you started to consider doing something on the lease side, because we've got to keep a pretty balance on what we've got on our company side. We're going to stick to a couple of decisions on makes and models that we think is going to be best for the driver and is going to be best for the driver's success. But the amenities of making sure that you're comfortable because you're living in that truck, we're paying attention to that. And yeah, anyway, so hopefully that answers it, but if it doesn't, that's why I threw my email out there. I'll be glad to get into some additional details with you if you'd like, okay? So, Jimmy, maybe we had to get back into some of the topics on this.
Absolutely. Company drivers, just gonna go back over it again. We went on a little bit tonight. We don't hide anything, right? As a company driver, if you're just joining us now, you're going to see through the Qualcomm, through settlements, through your fleet manager. Your load estimate pay at the beginning is dispatched and outlines what you're going to be doing. But again, I just want to hit on it again because I get asked a lot. 28% of the line haul or your base CPM miles. You will see both options on your Qualcomm before you accept the load or before you're dispatched out on that load. I think that is so important, guys, for you to truly understand that. It's not a gimmick. It's not a game. It's the computer tells us that miles for that 28%, and where a lot of our drivers for Kyle Palmer, who's been killing it, that's where they're seeing a lot of the 28%, right? And that's going to hope that will continue. One thing I've learned about working for the Andersons, right? Back in February of 19, we rolled out 65%. We were laughed at. Oh, ATS can't pay 65%. Well, yes, we can. 65 cents a mile is what the drivers were averaging. Yes, there might have been a couple that dipped below that, but for 2 years, we were rolling at 65 cents a mile. Now we've just increased that. Now that the Andersons have put that on the table, guys, it ain't coming off the table, right? We see that going forward, that for you, the driver, for a company driver making 75 cents a mile, whether it's upside pay or whether it's the true CPM, you are going to make no less than 75 cents a mile. You don't have to kill yourself to get to 35, to get to 3,000 miles a week, because you're only getting paid in the 40 cents. What I tell every driver, I told the driver that today, Joe, I said, look, well, I got to get 3,000. Why do you got to get 3,000 miles? Well, I got to get a paycheck. Well, if you got to 2,500 miles and you're making 75 cents, okay, the light bulb went off. So we want to make it as clear and transparent as we can, and that's the team behind the scenes on this paper Joe and I have that we're talking about tonight, for you to do your job, right? Be the professional trucker that you are. Jump out of the truck, shake the hand of our customer. Be happy to be there, right? Because you just know you're going to be making 2,000, 22, $2,300 if you are that professional driver.
And you guys, be clear on something. We need to count on you guys. It's our job to find the freight. It's our job to find the
Yes.
good paying freight. It's our job to make sure that you don't have idle time. What we need you to do is safely pick up that load, safely deliver that load on time, so we keep our customers happy. And the reason that we believe that we only hire the top 5% of drivers in the nation, and I've got a lot of stats to pick up why we believe that, we have not changed our hiring guidelines. We are looking for the cream of the crop here at ATS, and it pays off because I used to be on the sales side, and I've gone into a lot of customers, and there's always been this vibe of we always feel more confident when we see that ATS logo pulling into our lot than the no-name third party that just got brokered in there. And there's no offense to that, but there is a reputation that's built. And when we take a look at our safety culture that's here at ATS, and we talk about the respect, we want to make you successful, but we want to make sure that you know that we're counting on every one of our drivers to be representing us. They're the face of ATS. Outside of the corporate building, you guys are running nationally, and you're the face of ATS, and we've got a brand that we do not want to have tarnished. So we just appreciate what you guys are doing for that. But getting back to what Jimmy was saying, 2,000 miles, maybe 2,200 miles a week is what we've always done, and we make this kind of money. We don't want you feeling like you've got to break the rules. We don't want you to feel like you're stressing out to make that delivery. We do a lot to make sure that when we load plan, we are not putting any kind of a stress on you to make sure that you can get there on time, that you're not getting in trouble, and that you're not having to start breaking the rules. You're not going to, and if anybody within our organization ever did that, I think anybody who's been with us, especially our drivers, they're not around the next day because that's something we just don't tolerate.
No, and that's exactly right. And I think the whole key to what Joe was just saying too is it's from everybody in the back up at, I call it the mothership, right? Back at our world headquarters that are doing the things to set in place for you, the driver, right? So you show up and get up in the morning, and if you're a night driver, you drive at night. If you're a day driver, you drive during the day. And to get the load there on safely, knowing that the team is behind you, focused to have any questions answered. One thing I want to just flip to the because we talk a lot about CES and the independent contractors, Joe. Since I've been here, the truck payment number has not changed, right? For me, it's changed a little bit, up a little bit.
Yep.
But what we look at is we don't want to make the driver's truck poor, right? So we're putting our truck payment to where that truck needs to be, but then also the fixed expenses. I talk to other carriers, right? They're 12, 13, 1,400 a week, where we're not, right? We're that 700 to 850. No skin in the game, right? I think a lot of things get lost in translation, and I have to talk about it a few times with drivers, and they're like, "That's all you got to pay." And yes, that's all you have to pay is what. And I send a list out to you, the driver, and show you. Here's your Qualcomm. Here's your FHUD. Here's what your weekly fixed expenses are. Yes, your truck payments are going to bump up a little bit, but we're not nickel and diming you, right? We're not charging you for plates and permits. We're not charging you a trailer rental fee. Right? A lot of companies out there, the companies that are watching us now, hi, I'm sure you are charging a trailer rental fee. We don't do that, right? And I just wanted to reiterate that, Joe, was what surprised me is when I looked at some of the numbers to what our independent contractors are making, that's like well below what the industry average is. And I think that's important.
And I want to jump in and just because I never want to ever miss a single question. So John, I know that you're online with me, so you know for a fact that there's no way that I'm going to be able to spurt out considering that Lindsay's asking this question of what are our benefits. So by the time we go for the single program, the family program, smoker, non-smoker, 401k, profit sharing, there's a lot there. And so John, if you want to detail some of that out, because I can tell you right now that we believe that we've got a better overall insurance plan, but we've got the basics: medical, dental, 401k, just the full package. But you want to put something on there for that would be great. But we definitely got 401k. And then Kyle, you're asking about what the hiring requirements are. So my recruiters would laugh right now because they have 3 pages of hiring requirements.
Yes, we do.
So by the time you get through the 68 questions, starting from how old are you, how many jobs have you had in the last 3 years, how many jobs have you had in the last 12 months, Have you had any discharges? Have you had any truck abandonments? How many moving violations? How many accidents? What are those were preventable, non-preventable? Any DOT recordables? When it comes down to it, we don't cut corners on safety.
No.
So Anderson Trucking has never trained, and I take that back. That's an incorrect statement. Years ago, we started a brand new student program. We did it for about 6 months and just realized that's not who we are. We don't need to have a training school to be able to have enough drivers to seat the trucks that we need seated and to work for ATS. We'd rather hire the experienced drivers, and I can tell you with my time here that the ownership is saying they're sticking to that gun. So yes, we don't have a training program. We don't have trainers that go out with new CDL holders. The bare bone minimum right now is 6 months. Usually it's 8 months for as a company driver, and then 12 months consecutive with one carrier to qualify for a lease program. So I'm hoping that answers your question. And if you got additional questions on that, like I said, feel free to reach out to me anytime. But the amount of questions that we have to go through to find out whether or not the driver is globally what we're looking for, my recruiters will tell you that's the hardest part of their job. They get some great conversation going until they start talking about the 13 jobs that a driver's had in the last 2 years. That's not going to go very far with us. So,
No, that being said too, are we hard to get into? Yeah, we are. I mean, we've got certain standards that we do, but again, what I tell every driver that I know, I don't say no to a driver, right? So I don't say no, I say no, just not at this time, right? If a driver will go do this, and I brought you a few drivers that had a few jobs, but I said, go get me 6 months at a carrier, show me a commitment, and you said yes to these drivers, right? So with that being said, we want to hire qualified candidates to come to ATS. Can't hire everybody, right? Don't want to hire everybody, right? But still within that same breath, the qualified drivers that are here, right? You're kind of seeing exactly what we've talked about. Not just me, but my other teammates, Paul and John and Robbie and Holly and Patrick. We're all a team in this. And this, what I loved about what I learned here tonight is just the true scope of the team that ATS is, right? And again, it's if you're going to be an independent contractor and you want to move into an LLC, call them, right? If you've got questions to do that, I pointed this out earlier, Joe. I'm gonna point out again, little details. To me, as a driver recruiter, I might think that is a little detail. It's not. To the driver, it's a huge detail, right? And just know that my team, outside of us in recruiting, has your back to be able to do what you're trying to do and accomplish the same goals that you're trying to accomplish. And we're doing it, for you, the driver.
and by the way, Brandon, you're bringing a huge smile to my face, buddy. Been a long time I've seen you. Nobody I'm prouder of than what you're doing down there in our Jacksonville terminal, my friend. So good question. So we're constantly looking at, are there pockets where we're going to expand or grow regional to allow for a little bit better home time. So there's been a lot of talk down in the southeast region. We've got some meetings coming up with some customers. So based on where you are and everything you guys are doing on the international side, maybe you and I should get on the phone because maybe there's some pockets that we can talk about. So do me a favor. I know you got my name and number, but thanks for joining us tonight. You're the last guy I expected to see us join tonight, and you're bringing a big smile to my face. So thanks for taking the time, Brandon.
They're thinking about expanding the southeast region.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow!
Well, we're looking at always expanding whatever makes sense.
Yep.
And you guys, we're only gonna start something that we think we can finish. We don't want to put drivers into something that we're trying.
No.
The old saying is we're not looking to rent drivers. We don't want folks to give us a try. Do your homework. Check out our reviews. Take the time to talk to our drivers on Drive for ATS. We probably haven't said that enough tonight, but folks, everything you want to know about Anderson Trucking on the driver side, it's either our website, that's Drive, the number 4 ATS. We've got this open Facebook. We've got a YouTube channel out there. Sam, can you remind me what some of these other words are that I don't remember as far as some of the other things that we're going to be going on?
So we'll be looking at Twitch, YouTube Live. We'll be doing Facebook Live, potentially other platforms, but we need to hear from our drivers first.
Yep. So the more you guys tell us what works, I've been begging to say if Facebook isn't your gig, and I've had a lot of people tell me that they've shut down their accounts. We're trying to find other places that we can do this and allow the engagement on a platform that you guys are happy with. Somebody brought up TikTok. I don't know that I'm cool with that yet, but we'll find out.
What is that?
When we get AARP calls, Jimmy,
Yes,
we're not smart enough to know that kind of stuff. So. We'll let that go.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. So we're down to 45, about 15 minutes, and I'm going to tell you, we never stop these things
No.
if there's questions coming in. So we stick to an hour. If the questions, great interaction with the folks that are on there. But I want to point out again, Samantha Dwyer. I can tell you that I've never seen anybody in that department run it better. She collaborates with the recruiting department. She works with us really hard, especially with new drivers coming on board. But just to bullet a couple of things that she targeted. So when she comes on tomorrow, she'll get into a lot of detail on this. But as an independent contractor, you think about the distractions of the job and as a company driver, but you're talking about insurance deductions and postings, driver IDs being issued, fuel cards. Jimmy touched on this, fuel card limits, transponder activations, troubleshooting. There's just so many things of changing your direct deposit accounts. There's everything that goes on day to day. So you as a driver, we want to know that when you've got that issue, that you feel like you just called your little hometown bank and they dropped everything and gave you a cup of coffee. The reality is that we're a big organization. We got 1,500 drivers out there, and we want all 15 to feel like that they're the only driver that works for us. And so
Exactly.
I believe that our contractor services department helps them set up for success. They're making really good revenue, maybe giving some suggestions on how they adjust some things in their business model. Maybe somebody's struggling, had a health condition come up. They need some assistance with some settlements or with some advancements or pausing the payments or whatever it might be. There's just so many moving parts when it comes to being either a contractor or a company driver. And whether it's giving support on the successful business plan or having the empathy when things are not going right, that department pulls it together better than anybody I can imagine. So the only reason she's not here tonight is I told her I wouldn't let her come tonight because she's got kids and family, she's got young kids. And so I told her to just join me at 11 o'clock in the morning.
There you go. Exactly. Again, and to Joe's point, it's all about the driver well-being, right? Financially, right? That's kind of what we're talking about tonight is the financial well-being of you, the driver. We take that into account with what we're paying our company drivers, that's 75%. We taken that into account with what our lease drivers are making on our line haul through our customer base, right? But now flip it to what we've got here, what we've been talking about tonight. It's the whole scope of ATS. Again, the focus is pointed back to you, the driver, like a flashlight. And we want you to be ultra successful out there and not have to worry about, and I'm sorry to say it, the little things that I would consider little are not little, right? That opened my brain up to a lot of things here that are a big deal to you, the driver out on the road, that you don't have to worry about, right? When you make the call into Samantha Dwyer's team, right, that's going to get done. You've risen to the top, right? You're treated like I like Joe's analogy of a small town bank, right? You're treated as that. You're not truck 1471. You're Fred Hunsinger. Fred's got a question. He calls in. Samantha Dwyer and her team are going to make sure that question gets answered, or whatever that case in point may be. And it's not just lease drivers. It's also the company drivers. You get the same amount, a level of attention, right, that everybody gets from point here to point down. That's what I love about this company, guys, is the attention to detail, right? That we show not only to us as employees, but to you, the driver. To me, it's completely outstanding. Completely outstanding.
And we could do these ATS lives every night, and we know that we could sit there and talk about pay and talk about pay and talk about pay. Pay is a no-brainer. Just to let everybody know, one of the things that we do is we work very closely with organizations like the National Transportation Institute. Every quarter we submit all of our W-2s and 1099 information, but for that there's a group of carriers that voluntarily go into that. We pay really close attention to how we're stacked up, and we're a top pay carrier recognized by them on an independent audit. And we take a lot of pride in that, but that was years ago that we got that ranking, and we've kept that ranking. But right now we're seeing that most carriers are trying to catch up to what we're doing.
Right.
And I think it was last week you guys told me that we actually had 2 carriers call and say, hey, I'm with trucking company XYZ. We don't understand how you guys are doing this. Can you tell us what the fine print is? And we said, not only can we tell you what the fine print is, go to Drive for ATS and we spell it out to the detail. We don't have fine print in our programs. These crazy sign-on bonuses, I think sign-on bonuses those are the last drivers we want. I'm saying that very directly. We want to pay a sign-on bonus to make sure that a driver coming on board is transitioning and being recognized, but we want to know that transition happened. And they got the money, the cash flow coming through during those first weeks or months when they're getting to know our system. But we're going to make you that money. So we don't want you to come here to get a sign-on bonus, and once that sign-on bonus is paid, you leave. We want to get you that money to where you don't really care about the sign-on bonus. So I call it a transition pay, always have. But the fine print, we love the fact of when we call this Ask Us Anything, because there's nothing that we're not going to talk about. And folks, there are going to be times that we don't have the answer that you want to hear, but at least you're not going to waste your time, and it's going to let you know that if you ever got serious about ATS, that when you're talking to us, it's not going to be, the what do you call it? What is it called with a little mirror? Come on, Jimmy, I'm going drawing a blank. Come on, what is that called?
Bait and switch is what I thought of.
Okay, bait and switch is cool, whatever.
There you go.
But anyway, so
Illusion.
yeah, it just we don't try to get it to where we get you to call in and then all of a sudden all the programs start changing.
Yeah.
And a good chunk of our drivers will have miscommunications, but that's what that first day of orientation is for. And I think of any active drivers around here right now that know me, I'm the first guy that will drop whatever I'm doing to come over and meet with that driver, make sure we can do a reset, make sure that the program is what they want. If not, we're going to get them transportation back home and apologize for anything. Thankfully, that doesn't happen, but usually it's just slowing down to kind of readdress what everything is. But that happens very seldomly. But when it does, we drop everything. And frankly, it's me and any other senior manager. Usually it's our operations manager or VP of operations that joins me to make sure that we're not having a driver join us because under the wrong pretenses, because all we're doing then is, you heard me say it earlier, we're renting a driver for a couple of months. We want to contract and hire company drivers that have the goal of being with us for 5+ years. And since our average time with our drivers here is over 5 years, that is our goal, that if you come here, we'd like to know that this is the last place you ever go.
And I tell a lot of drivers that, right? I think certain drivers, yes, but certain drivers I'll tell that to, Joe. I'll tell them, I think you're going to retire here, right? Knowing what I know, when a driver can see it, when a driver can experience it, especially when they can get up here to St. Cloud, right? When we can get a driver through and you can now truly see what me and Joe present as the recruiting side of it, as the facing out you, the driver, it's going to happen. What Joe's just telling you happens on a daily basis. Drivers are coming in. Drivers are saying hi. Joe's meeting them. He knows them on a first name basis, for Pete's sakes. He knows everybody going over here. But with that being said, we're doing this again for you, the driver, right? And as Joe said it, I don't want to beat it over the head, but we could talk about, pay, your pay is this and that. We're talking about, settlements. We're talking about this because it's important, right? It's important for you, the driver, to understand just a clearer picture of truly what we got going on back here, for you, the driver, to make sure that the little details that are big details are taken care of, that we have your best financial well-being in mind for you and your family.
And you guys, we're going to always shake it up. As long as we've got drivers participating in this and they're asking questions. And again, I really want to stress, we're getting to the end of this. And listen, folks, when the questions start going down, I start losing my energy because I'm here to answer the questions. We've kind of covered what we wanted to talk about.
We've had a long day.
Well, no, it's not that.
Yeah.
I can stay here till midnight if I got people asking me good questions that I can respond to. But listen, if the questions start dwindling down, typically we start kind of tying this up. But please let me give a reminder. We are here to answer any question that you've got. And like I said, we found out that our audience is pretty broad, and that's great. That's why this is a public, open ATS Live platform. But if you didn't get a question to us, you're watching this after the fact, and you still have a question, do understand, still type a comment in there, and we are monitoring this, and you will get a response 100% of the time. And my email is somewhere up above to where if you don't get a response, bring it to me directly, and I'll make sure that I get back with you. So, we've had some discussions with our safety department. We're now having discussions regarding our contractor services and settlements. We're going to end up bringing in a couple of fleet managers. Our goal is to have you be able to have a flavor for each and every department that you touch. We're going to bring in our maintenance department and talk a little bit about our roadside assistance for after-hour service problems, for when you're scheduling regular PM preventative maintenance. What we try to do to make that experience for the driver when your truck is going in for scheduled maintenance or when you have that breakdown. We want you to have a flavor of who Anderson Trucking Service is as a business. And that's what this whole platform is for.
Exactly. And to just look at Brandon's comment, almost with what you were just talking about, right? Focus on trailers, right? Focus on the tractors, focus on, again, it's to keep you, the driver, going from Moline, Illinois to Dallas, Texas safely, right? In great equipment, great trailers. We go through extensive lists of what we're doing behind the scenes to make sure that you, the driver, can get from where you're going safely and make a very good paycheck doing it, whether you're a company driver or whether you're an independent contractor. So I want to thank everybody for joining again. This is fun for me, right? I know it's fun for this man too. I love doing this. I would do it as much as you guys want to do it. We are going to start sending out a couple polls. You'll start seeing them tomorrow with certain things we're looking at. I see Samantha shaking her head over there. We want to hear from you, the driver. So please take a few moments and take a look at that and share with it. If it's not something that you're interested in, tell us. We want to hear that, right? If it's something we think is of an interest to driver and it's truly not, great. Comment on there what's something you'd like to see. I know we're going to be switching our times a little bit. So for me and Joe, we started tonight at 7 o'clock. I think next month when you and I do this again, it'll be at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we're going to move it up an hour. And honestly, we're going to keep doing what we think is right. But listen, if you guys don't tell us,
right.
You're killing us, because we're glad to sit here at 7 o'clock at night. We're glad to sit here at 8 o'clock at night. We're worried that you guys are parking and going to the truck stop, getting your spot, getting your meals, eating, and you're sound asleep by 8 o'clock. So that's probably getting a little too late. And I'm that old dude, so I don't know if I want to go too much later.
Me neither.
But I don't care if we do this at 5 o'clock. I don't care if we do this at 3 o'clock in the afternoons. We just want to create a consistency of where it's the most convenient for both drivers looking at ATS and for our active drivers to participate, helping us out with giving the message of who we really are. So, folks, we're down to a couple of minutes. The questions have kind of tapered off a little bit. Brandon, I appreciate the other comment. 100%. I'm going to share a story, but any driver that we bring on to ATS, you guys know we're running MVRs, we're running PSPs, we're running SID lists, all that kind of stuff. And when I see these PSPs that are 8 pages long with everything wrong under the sun with the trailers and the tractors, and I take a look at what the PSP hits are for drivers with Anderson Trucking that get any kind of roadsides. That's the confirmation that I need to know, is because if you've got a hit on your PSP, frankly, it's because you probably made a decision that wasn't very good, and you might have ran a stop sign and you got lucky with a warning, whatever it might be. But these lists of maintenance issues that we have, so I'm glad you threw that out there, Brandon, because I'm telling you right now, you can't cover it all in one of these sessions.
No.
But talking about maintenance is important. Talking, again, safety, contractor services, the fleet manager side, they're all important, but we can only talk about a couple things at a time. So we're always dedicated to doing one new topic every time that we're doing these ATS lives. So what else do you hear?
That was Sam.
Oh, we're good. What?
That was Sam. What else do you want to hear about? Then just put that out there for everybody to see.
Okay, perfect.
Again, guys, Joe and I love doing this. You've heard us say this multiple times. So whatever is on your mind next time, give us a call. Give us a ring. We'll be glad to answer the question. Tune in tomorrow. I think it will be, Samantha is on top of her game, guys. If you can tune in tomorrow, she is a wealth of knowledge, and a little bit more than I am. I'm tuning in. I'm going to tune in just to see exactly kind of how it all goes. Again, because I'm learning more of the processes behind the scenes that benefit you, the driver. So I just want to thank you for taking the time. Please respond to some of the polls that Sam is going to put together for everybody. Again, if you spend some time with us tonight, we hope you learned something. If anything you learned, it's the passion that me and this man have for ATS and for our drivers. Again, thank you for everything. If you want to close her out, Joe.
Well, I do. So thanks for joining us, all of our current active drivers. Thanks for if you're a prospect driver and you're considering ATS, truly, please go to driveforats.com. Take the time to pick up the phone to talk to one of our recruiters. Take the time to reach out. This Facebook page. Ask some questions out there. I've never had a greater group of drivers that you say, hey, how is it really, to where they'll talk to you. Nothing makes me happier than to know that when I go into a new class and I say, how many of you took the time to talk to one of our active drivers before making the decision to be here? And I see at least half of the room, their hands go up. That brings joy to me, because then I know that one of our drivers out doing the job is talking to this new driver and let them really understand that they're doing that. And as much as I love my recruiters, they are just used car salesmen on that first phone call. And I get it. It takes time to get that relationship built up, or that trust level built up. But a driver talking to a driver, there's really not a lot that driver's got to gain other than saying, hey, this is my story. And so all of you guys that take the time to join and say, this is my story, love to see those earnings that you guys are saying that are happening. And just remember, folks, the money's there, but you got to work for it. Yep. And so thanks for joining ATS Live tonight. Samantha Dwyer, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Anybody that joined today, share this with folks that are contractors or company drivers that you think would benefit. Tomorrow's session is only going to be about 30 minutes, so it's going to be a little bit more of the point. Today covered a little bit more detail. Samantha's going to really be there to just answer questions that didn't get hit by us today. So keep those coming in, because there's not a better expert that's going to be here than Samantha with us at 11 o'clock tomorrow. So
100%.
On behalf of Anderson Trucking, thank you. Stay safe. Go make some money. And look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, everybody.